Hey, everybody. Welcome to the pre-party. All right, so we are recording. This is awesome. So excited to be here with you. All right, I am going to figure all of this fun stuff out here. So hang tight as we near the top of the hour. I'm listening to some fun music so you guys can hang out with me and dance and get ready. We're going to have a blast today. Let's see here. So I want to share my screen with you. I am going to share my desktop. That way I can show you some other things besides my, hold on one second here. Life, 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 life is whatever I'd rather see. It's a feeling, oh, my. All right, everybody, we are getting ready here for our live training. I'm so excited to be here with you. We have a few more minutes until we're going to begin here, but I wanted to invite you to the pre-webinar party. So lots of fun stuff happening. I am getting everything together ready for you and also working on getting these other things up for you. So welcome, welcome. Super excited to be here. I'm going to be sharing my screen with you and I want to be able to see everybody. So hey, Amy, welcome, welcome. Hey, Carla, how are you? Hope you guys are enjoying the music and dancing and getting ready with me here. So let's see here. All right, got to go back. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you and we'll start the webinar at the top of the hour. We're still waiting for everyone to arrive, but I would love to hear from you. What drew you to come here to this webinar training today? What do you most want to learn? Everything that I do is customized, so you can chat with me during our time together and I'll be able to see what you write in the chat box there about why you're here and what you want to learn. And today I'm trying something new where hopefully you'll be able to see me teaching as I share the PowerPoint presentation with you. So I'm super excited to be doing that. One of my mentors was doing that yesterday and I was texting my team and messaging them with the screenshot and I'm like, all right, we've got to do this tomorrow. This is going to be amazing. So I'm going to put our pre-party music back on and finish getting things ready here for you. And then we'll dive in at the top of the hour. Way to show up and be early, by the way, because that's what successful people do. All right, let's see here. I'm testing something out here on my iPad Pro, so just want to make sure you guys are all getting connected in here properly. And if you received the reminder email, you also would have received your handout. So let me share my screen with you. Okay, so now I am sharing my screen with you. Let's see here. So I think we can, aha, here's your handout. And I wanna, oh, I know what my one assistant was saying, to pull up the view. So if there's a teaching view, all right, let me get this part done first and then we'll get moving on in here. All right, I want to make sure, hold on a second. Okay, well, at least I know you can all hear me, so that's the good news. Let me go back here. Touch up my appearance. How about that? All right, I believe we are already recording. So we can hop out of here, enter full screen automatically when viewing screen shared by others. I was gonna see if we could do, when I'm sharing my screen, I'm wanting to make sure you can still see me on video. So let me just get that going here. And all right, hold on 1 second. All right, so it looks like you guys can only see my screen. Okay, yay. So we screen share. Thanks for letting me know that, Amy. I was trying to log into my iPad and then it was giving us some feedback. So we will go ahead and get started. So welcome, welcome everyone. I am so excited to be here with you today. We are gonna have a blast together and I wanna make sure that you have your handout. So you'll see here where we made a beautiful little workbook for you. And so you'll be able to fill this in as we go. And what is it saying? Can I because it contains interactive annotations. Okay, I don't know what that means, but here we are. Either way, this is just a little screenshot of your handout here today, and we will get started with our slideshow too. So there's lots of excitement here. And you guys can see me at the same time as you see our slideshow together. Let me pop on over here and we'll make sure we're sharing the PowerPoint with you so that you can indeed see the PowerPoint. So we'll go ahead and get started with this. That way you can see everything that we're working on today for your cash infusion. And I guess I need to make sure I am not in the way. So let's move me right over here. And official welcome to the 7 Secrets to Create an Instant Cash Infusion. I am Rebecca Matthias, Intuitive Success Coach, your host for our time together. And truly, truly, this is something that I am just immensely passionate about for women to show up for themselves, to stop the self-denial, to stop the self-sabotage, to provide a space for them to say yes to themselves, and a place where there's really, truly no shame and no guilt around whatever led you to this point, any money demons that you might have, or anything that we might be bringing up on this webinar today is here to be in service to you, being more of who you are. You'll be hearing more about my journey, but I surely have had an incredible journey with many ups and downs and lots of money shame to overcome and guilt and all kinds of things that we women really do need to let go of once and for all. And so I am honored that you are here, and I am honored to be able to share this with you and really show you how I have continued to create pretty phenomenal cash infusions in my own life over and over again throughout my journey of becoming a financially independent woman, because I never was a financially independent woman before up until 2013. Not even kidding you. Literally moved out of my parents' house. I commuted to college. I did not go away to college. So I can't even tell you that I had that experience. And moved directly into purchasing a townhouse with my then fiance, who is now my ex-husband. And so when I was facing divorce in 2013, 2 little kids, and even long before that, wanted to leave the marriage, but was terrified that I couldn't take care of myself financially. So when I tell you that this is a topic for me that is extremely near and dear to my heart, and recognize how impacted my life choices and how I was so not living the life of my dreams because of this big, huge fear that never even occurred, by the way, because statistically, about 98% of the fears that you think you have or that you do have are not even going to manifest. So what we are going to talk about today is how you manifest an instant cash infusion, and you can use these techniques over and over again to manifest money whenever it is that you desire and require it to be there for you. So we will go ahead and dive in here. And number one, I want to let you know how you can increase your viewing pleasure. And that would be by turning everything that's operating in the background off, including any email systems, Skype, iTunes, Facebook, or any other programs. You'll want to make sure you silence your phone. Check. My doors are shut. My sons are cooperating. And now is really a true, really and truly a time for you to discover some new ways to create a cash infusion. And I want to encourage you to stay on through the end. I give a tremendous amount of content that you can implement immediately. This is not just a fluff training where I'm not really sharing the real stuff with you. I promise to share as richly as possible because of my experience and my story and my journey. That's why my passion is so on fire about empowering women financially, because after I went through the divorce that I went through and tripled my income and broke into 6 figures, I realized very, very clearly that when for me, what happened, and I know this is true for every other woman on the face of the planet, when a woman has her own money in the bank, she makes very, very different decisions. And I never, ever will be that woman who is stuck in a dysfunctional relationship with an alcoholic, afraid to leave because I didn't have my own money in the bank. I was choosing to stay at home with my sons for a long time and putting my college career and my college degree and all of my education and wisdom on hold so that I could be present for my 2 sons who are now 14 and 11. And I'll be showing you some pictures of them soon as well. So if you have any questions throughout our time together, look, this is interactive. So I'm here with you. I want you to have an experience. I don't just want this to be a talking head or a moving slideshow. I really want to hear from you. What is touching you? What's inspiring you? What's going on for you? And how I can be of support to you in what it is that you're going through, and perhaps even any ahas you have, or I'm also always available to hear any kind of feedback. Hey, Rebecca, that webinar was fucking awesome. You were amazing. I loved it. Or I thought your pictures were ugly. I don't like this little camera icon here. I am always looking to be of greater service to women and reach more women than I possibly can, so that all women are healing from these financial woundologies that are literally centuries and centuries and centuries old. We are pioneering what is happening on the planet today, and it is going to start on the individual level. So you have to start with you. And if you aren't going to take the correct steps that you need to take, that I'm going to share with you in this training, then you can't go out and help someone else. that person that I was back then that was struggling financially and not even knowing how to be financially independent or live alone, that was not the person that was able to help people really and truly at the core root to get out of the financial codependence. And that's a lot of what I do now is I have the ability to really dive into what are those subconscious beliefs about money that you have running, and that is what is keeping you stuck. And of course, now I know that from, sometimes they're conscious and sometimes they're not conscious. So some of those money demons for me back then were also, some of them were conscious. Like I knew, I said out loud, I'm afraid I can't take care of myself financially. I don't know what to do. And that was what kept me frozen, because we fight, flight, or freeze in that really crappy relationship. And now I am freer and happier and healthier and wealthier than I've ever been. And I know that this is possible for you as well. So let's see here. We'll move on to numero tres. We will also have time for Q&A. Like I said, I want this to be an experience for you. What I know to be true is that when you come to something, and I've done a tremendous amount of research on this because it's something that absolutely fascinates me, is how a woman learns. I used to run an international coaching academy with over 400 women. And I saw only about 2% of these women coming out of this program having a tremendous amount of success, when a lot of these women had paid $10,000 and $20,000 for this program. And so I started doing really intense research and psychological studies on why are some of these women getting success and others are not. One of the reasons, and it's never just one reason, by the way, but one of those reasons is because women learn very differently. So for me personally, I can tell you that I have Russell Brunson's book called Expert Secrets. I've picked it up one time and I've read several pages. It's not that I don't love Russell Brunson. It's not that I'm not super, super, super dying to know what's in that book. It's that I learn through audio. And that's one of the beautiful things that I love about this platform for us to work with one another, is that you get to see me, you get to hear me. There's a slideshow, we have workbooks. So we're touching upon all of the different ways that women learn. Okay, so whether you're kinesthetic, whether you're experiential, whether you're audio or you're visual, that will be covered in this training. And so all of the training materials that I provide for everyone, whether they're paid or free, I make sure that I am providing that level of educational experience, because you will have that much faster of a breakthrough, because I am meeting you on all of these different sensory levels of where you take in information. And some of them might even be unbeknownst to you. So during our time together, again, make it experiential. Ask your questions. I might not get to your question right then immediately, but I can see everything that's going on over here, and I want to be there for you and really be your teacher today and help you have a breakthrough. What I also know to be true is that when we set an intention for something and PS, we're present. Remember the slide before was like about, making it great for your viewing pleasure. What I know to be true is that you can indeed have a breakthrough on our time together. We've been conditioned by society to believe that things have to take a long time, or they have to be hard, or whatever else it is. And quite frankly, it's all bullshit. In reality, there is no such thing as time. Time is an illusion. And so if you set an intention that you can have a cash infusion really quickly, you can. When you eliminate the voice of doubt and replace it with the voice of faith, which I will be teaching you how to do today, you also can create an instant miracle in your life. So I am here to answer your questions, and this is unlike any training that you may have participated in before, because I'm totally here. I've got your back. I was put up for adoption when I was a baby, and then also going through this divorce, my parents chose to stay in contact with my alcoholic ex-husband. So I understand very clearly what it feels like to feel isolation and what it can do to you to becoming a successful entrepreneur. And so when people enter into my tribe, it literally is a tribe for me. We're here together as women in business, and we're here as women pioneers who are trudging forward into more and more richness. And that's on the inside and the outside. So we're in this together. You're here now. You're in my world. We're together. Okay, so first of all, I want you to post in the chat box or the Q&A box, are you making the money you desire? What's been your highest month? And what is it that you really desire to make? Because sometimes we just have a desire to make a certain amount of money, and it's not really tethered to anything. And this is where things changed for me dramatically. Okay, so in 2013, up until that point, I have been an entrepreneur. I've been running my own business since 2010. And from 2010 to 2013, the first 3 years of my business, I struggled financially. I mean, it was crazy. Like, I had $5,000 months. I had no $1,000 months. And I had a mentor the whole entire time. So it wasn't like, oh, I have a mentor, I don't have a mentor, this or that. It was literally a lot of issues. Oh, you can, she said she can see me. Okay. All right, cool. So tell me what it is that you do want to make, and be specific. I would love to hear from all of you guys. And you can put this in the Q&A box, or you can put it in the chat box, whichever you prefer. I have no preference whatsoever. So what happened for me was, when I started making the money that I desired, it was because it became a requirement. So I was literally like, okay, I have 2 children. I'm going through a divorce. And at the time I was working for a mentor. Okay, so 500 or 5,000 euros per month. Great. Anyone else have a specific number? Put it in the box, ladies. So here's basically what was going on for me back in the beginning of 2013. I had an opportunity to become an apprentice of a very well-known coach in the industry. And at the end, shortly into being her apprentice, about 6 months into it, it was a year-long apprenticeship, my marriage was like over, done. It didn't matter how much fear I had anymore about whether I could or could not take care of myself. $10,000 per month. Awesome. Awesome. And like, ladies, put also in here, what is the most amount that you had ever made? So for me, leading up until this being financially independent part of my life, I had sold leadership programs and had $40,000 months, but then I would have a lot of $0,000 months. And so if you averaged all of those out, the most that I had grossed back then at that point, I think was like $63,000 a year. So, okay, my income in my company is 500 euro last 3 years. I'm changing my company into online. I need to own more. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's great that you're recognizing like where you're at and what you need to do. And definitely online is massively necessary. So anyhow, so leading up to this point, I never had consistent income. And so then at this juncture where it was like really crystal clear that my marriage was over forever, and it was a welcome divorce. I remember crying on the phone with my coach, who was also my mentor at the time. And I was like, I feel like I'm crying because I'm supposed to be crying. And she said, well, Rebecca, from what I hear you saying, your marriage wasn't exactly fulfilling, so I'm not quite sure why you would be crying. Now, I'm going to tell you that to tell you this. I also had a traumatic experience happen in 2007 when my sons were 1 and 4. And I found out that my husband at the time was lying to me. He was doing drugs behind my back. And well, I already knew he was an alcoholic, but he had a psychotic alcoholic episode on a family vacation where I had to leave him there and drove home with my 2 sons, 1 and 4. and came home to parents who were blaming me. So talk about isolating times, not so fun. But basically, what I just totally lost my train of thought. But hold on a second. Let me just double check the Q&A. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's time to change that. Like, you're going to understand from what I did, from my story, that this is totally possible for you too. So back in 2007, I really wanted to leave then. And I was afraid that I couldn't take care of myself. Obviously, I didn't have parents that were supporting me in any way. Not that I was looking for anyone to bail me out at all. But it was a really scary time for me. And so from 2007 leading up to the 2013, that's 6 years, I was in very intense coaching and spirituality and all kinds of stuff that allowed me to heal. And I recognize in hindsight that I essentially grew out of my ex-husband. And the only codependency aspect that I had not grown out of with him was financial. And so then the universe steps in, as it always does. And the universe stepped in and was like, you're done this relationship forever. You've grown your wings. You're ready to fly. We've got your back. Let's go. So again, it was a welcome divorce. I was like, oh my God, finally I'm free. But I was also still really terrified because I didn't know if I could take care of myself financially. I knew I did not want to move my sons out of the house that they grew up in, which is this house here. That was 4.5 years ago. And so what happened was I was in Paris with my mentor, and I was walking back from her apartment putting together this international coaching academy. And I'm walking back to my hotel, and I had to turn my data on because I had never been in Paris before, and I was like totally lost. And I turned my data on, and a text message comes through from my ex-husband, and he says, I'm moving out on such and such date. And it was like, boom, right in my stomach. And I felt like I had been punched. I felt like, oh my God, it's really real. Holy shit. And I stood there in the streets of Paris with my breath taken away. And I was like adamant to God and said, hey, God, guess what? Here's the deal. I'm not moving my kids out of the house they grew up in. And I need at least $10,000 a month coming in no matter what. And it never dawned on me to use my college degree and go back out into the workforce. I was already a very well-established coach. I love, love, love coaching, if you can't already tell. And my intention is to do this until I die. And so that never dawned on me. I also was very crystal clear. I was not going to become a statistic. 28% of single women make less money after they divorce. I was not going to become that person. And I was very crystal clear that I was not going to be moving my sons out of the house that they grew up in. So I'll tell you a little bit more of the story as we move through these slides. And I also want to assure you that, oh, okay, awesome. I would love that, Lone. The power of light. I believe I've heard of that. So thank you so much. All right. So if you need clarity around what you want and why you want it, here you are. You're with me. You're in the right place. I'm totally with you. I've got your back. Some of you have already expressed you feel like you're not making enough money. I remember being in that place, like one little thing would spin me out and I would be like spinning for days. Like when my SUV went up in 2014, I totally like freaked out. I'll tell you that story in a little bit too. One unexpected bill shows up and you downward spiral into self-sabotage. That's basically what was going on when my SUV went up and I was like, oh my God, I need a new vehicle. What am I going to do? You feel like you've hit a ceiling with your income. So you may have made a tremendous amount of money and you're just like, oh my God, I'm stuck at this money set point. This is so annoying. Also, we as women, we are famous for comparing ourselves to others. And you think like, well, what am I doing wrong? I mean, we are bombarded with social media these days, right? Like you're on social media and you're like, man, look what this person is doing. They are killing it and they're making all this money and you're comparing yourself to others, which I always tell women it's like comparing apples to bricks. It's not even apples to oranges because you are comparing their beautiful front door, AKA their website, their social media profile, whatever you want to say, to your behind the scenes mess. Like, oh my gosh, my office is a mess. I have a pile on my desk here. I have laundry in. The cat's litter box needs changing. I don't know, whatever your example is. I don't have any cats, but I thought that that would be a good one to use. And then also 3 thoughts that may be holding you back from your instant cash infusion. We're going to take a look at those right now. Number 1 is saying, I don't have the money. And I hear this very often from women, and quite frankly, it's complete total crap. I'm going to give you a couple of examples, and in case you're new to me, it's probably pretty clear by now what my teaching style is. I'm a pretty big no BS kind of person. I believe that we are here as women, and some people are here as healers. I believe all people have that ability. And we don't have time to mess around. Like, we're here to do some serious work. We're here to heal this money crap so that the power on the planet becomes more balanced again in the way that it was before we stopped honoring the Sacred Mother and before these Magdalene wounds. For those of you who may not know about the mysticism and the history of why women are at the place that they're at, the more that we can do on an individual level, it will impact, and we begin doing it on a collective level, which is how I operate in my life. And so this phrase has to never come out of your mouth again. And there's 2 things that I want to share on this. If I walked around when I first became financially independent and single, after being in a relationship for 19 years, I was married for almost 13 years and in a relationship with this guy for 19 years, my ex-husband. And I was pretty vulnerable, right? Like, I'm like 37 or 36 back in the market for dating. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I don't know if I can do all this. Ironically, the man that I've been with for over 4 years it literally showed up like 2 weeks after my ex-husband moved out. So I'll talk more about Jack in a moment as well. But it's kind of like going around and saying, I'm never going to have a man. Or like, if I was walking around with that kind of energy, my man, my lover, would never have shown up in the way that he did. And so you have to stop saying this. So like, when I was worried about paying my bills and keeping up with the bills when I was first in my home by myself and 100% responsible for the bills because I was divorced, it terrified the shit out of me, but I never walked around saying I don't have the money. And here's the deal, like, it's not even true. If you sit down and you look at the things that you invest in, I know that you could easily come up with what it is. If you really desire something, then you will make it happen. And I love what Mr. Tony Robbins says. One of my great coachers and teachers over the years is that you don't get in life your shoulds, you get your musts. So you need to make it a must to heal this money crap and have your own money and be the financially empowered woman once and for all. This is why you're here. Not just on this webinar, not just on this training, but you're here on the planet as a woman to heal that wound on an individual level so that the collective of the wound will be able to heal as well. So no more, I don't have any money. The other thing that I have heard over the years, I will tell you from day one that I was coaching in 2010, I have had a coach or been in a group coaching program. At some points, I've had more than one coach. You cannot expect to grow a business if you are going to open up a lemonade stand down by the street and sell 50 cents worth of lemonade or not invest in yourself. In other words, I believe we as virtual entrepreneurs get off really easy buying a $10,000 package, because I know that I have friends who have opened up restaurants. I have friends that have opened up resorts. I have friends that have opened up high-end spas, and they have had to put out anywhere between $250,000 or $500,000 or $1 million to their startup cost. So for you to heal your money wounds once and for all, making an investment in yourself is a requirement, and it should be something that you celebrate, where you're like, yes, I am choosing to invest in myself, and I am so excited, and I'm never going to come up with the excuse that I don't have money ever again, because it's just totally disempowering me and everyone around me. Okay, number 2, I am wrong. This is what happens when we look around and we start comparing ourselves to everyone else. We draw a conclusion that we're wrong. We don't go to the mirror enough and say, hi, I love you. I see you. You are amazing. You are doing amazing things. You are on the right path. You are making a difference in the world. This needs to be done daily. So women spend far too much time criticizing themselves and comparing themselves to others. You can't get rich from a place of self-love bankruptcy. So let this stop as well for you. Number 3, I'm not like her. Look what she has. Again, you cannot compare your behind the closed doors to someone else's oranges. And this is what I learned so clearly back in 2007 when I was in this miserable relationship. No one knew what had happened at the beach. No one knew that my husband had an alcoholic episode. I lied to all of my friends, came home and told them that my son got strep throat and we had to come home from our vacation. No one knew that I had found marijuana in my ex-husband's car the week before. And it was like everyone else had the better marriage. Everyone else had the better kids. Like my life was a disaster behind closed doors. Now, here's the funny thing. As you can tell, I'm not much on lying at all, and I suck at lying, and I actually don't believe in lying. I'm a very open and honest person. So even after I went back to my quote unquote normal life and was back at the gym exercising with my friends back in 2007 when all of this happened, and I felt like a mess. Obviously, I didn't have parents supporting me or anyone really at that time. And I was trying to like hold up this facade, and I was just like done with it, done. It was like, this is what really happened. I told my friends, I lost some friends, because when you get honest about your life, people act like you're contagious. And quite frankly, I don't give a shit anymore about that. But that was really eye-opening for me at the time. And the responses that I got from people were like, oh my God, Rebecca, I thought your life was perfect and that you guys were so in love and this and this and this. And in that moment, and I said this to a friend, I said, you know what? I said, you never know what goes on behind closed doors. Okay? So no more comparing. Only going to the mirror and doing the self-love. Your self-talk also has to be rich and in congruency. You can't be saying, you know, I'm going to manifest 10,000 euro, or I'm going to manifest $500,000, or, you know, 100 million rands, whatever it is for you and wherever you are located around the globe, Australian dollars, you name it, sterlings, whatever. And then on the inside, be silently comparing yourself to others and making yourself wrong. These are really huge components to living a rich life from the inside out. All right, so let's hear it in the chat box. Can anybody relate to any of these? I want to hear it from you guys. Did any of those 3 thoughts resonate with you? Because I hear them over and over with women. And here's the crazy thing is, because I ran this international coaching academy, I have been on the phone, not just in my own business over the past 7.5 years, but I did over $1 million in sales for this company. And so I spent, I don't know how many hours on the phone with so many women from across the globe, and no one is immune to this. So this is why I say we as women, regardless of where what your vocation is, what your location is, what your education is, any of that, we really truly have to individually heal this and then heal it on the collective. That's where things are at energetically. And quite frankly, you can't, all right, Amy, no more, I never have the money. Or you're saying you used to relate to that. Okay, so no more saying that. Like, you have to make a promise to me from here on out. If you do nothing else but walk out of this training, vowing to yourself and to me and the other participants here that you will never say that again. I promise you, I promise you, promise you, promise you, things will change. I did one of my first workshops back in 2010. I made the participants vow that, and I had women contacting me months later and saying how much just that one change made in their lives. And it's amazing to see where they're at here 7 years later. Okay, so the good news is all of those thoughts are untrue. Like I said earlier, I have you covered. You do have enough money. You have to start telling the truth and just saying, I'm not choosing to allocate money towards that right now, or I am going to invest in myself and I am going to prioritize myself and my growth. Like I said, that's one of the number one things that I did from day one. No matter what my financial circumstances were like, I always had a mentor. I always was investing in a group coach, a group coaching program, or a private coach. That was a non-negotiable for me. And if you haven't really heard the theme yet here before we've been diving into those 7 cash secrets, which we will be in a moment here, and you're really like way smarter than all the people and me, you're catching on, right? You get in life your must, not your should. So when money was like, hey, I must not move my children out of the house that they grew up in, and I must have $10,000 coming in every single month, that's what happened. So all of the stuff that you're seeing on this part of the PowerPoint right now is total BS. You are enough. Being your true, unique self will boost your bank account. If you were told, like me, that you're too much or over dramatic or anything else for that matter, let it go. We are all unique and individual, and we all need to honor that about ourselves. So you are here for a very unique purpose, and the world needs you to be your great, big, huge, amazing self. So what I am saying is, you can create your own cash infusion starting today, 100%. So this is your chance to give yourself permission. All right, let me just double check here. I wanted to make sure we didn't have any hands raised. All right, so if you stay on until the very end of our time together, you're going to also receive my personal manifestation checklist. This is something that you can print out and you can use it over and over again. And what you're going to learn today are the power of your beliefs. You're going to identify your unique money set point and your hidden money leaks, where you are sabotaging your money growth, and the secret to the cause and effect of money. So who am I? I've already told you a fair amount about who I am, but I have been coaching in the coaching industry since 2010, March of 2010. I am massively passionate about the coaching industry at large, and I truly do take a stand for authenticity, honesty, and integrity. That is from the place that I coach and work with women, and probably one of the reasons why you're here and you've been attracted to me. I also really do take a stand for women ending their own self-abandonment. And so in order for me to overcome and get to where I am, instead of me being the adopted child that was abandoned, or the wife that was abandoned, or the daughter that was abandoned, I have chosen to heal my own abandonment. And that's where women really get caught up, because of this abandonment wound that tends to be a chronic wound for a lot of women. They feel abandoned by money, or they feel abandoned by God. And so what I know to be true is that when you take a stand, and this is truly where my life really, really, really took a turn, not the financial aspect of things, but the huge empowerment piece for me that came back in 2007 when all of this crazy stuff was going on in my relationship. I felt like so violated by my ex-husband. I felt betrayed. I felt like the victim. I was brilliant at playing the victim. I grew up with a sister who was bulimic. And so when I was over dramatic or too much, that's how I would get attention. And so I began to discover at a very young age as a teenager that the better I played the role of the victim, the more I might possibly have a chance of getting my parents' attention when they were busy with my sister, who was 6 years older than me, who was bulimic. So I had this huge aha moment through a series of events. But one of the biggest things that happened is after this beach incident, when my sons were 1 and 4, and I left my ex-husband at the beach, husband at the time, and drove home with my 2 sons completely like just flabbergasted. I sat there and I really pushed myself. At the time I was reading Dr. Wayne Dyer's book called Erroneous Zones. And I was really pushing myself, and I was like, you know what, Rebecca, what is it that you think he did to you that was so horrible? What was it? What was it? And I was just pushing myself. And I heard the word abandonment and rejection. That was the awful offense. And the next thing that I heard that was so powerful was, where are you abandoning and rejecting yourself? And that was a truly pivotal moment for me, because what my work then became was, how am I abandoning myself, and how am I going to heal that and no longer do that? So how am I going to be there for myself? And it's funny because I had a psychic medium tell me one time, your parents and your husband, it was a husband at the time, they're going to push you out the door to your own freedom. And that's exactly what happened. Martin nailed it in a nutshell. So I really want to encourage you to take a stand for being here for yourself, and take a stand for investing in yourself, because that is the number one factor that is going to make the biggest difference. When I look back on my life and I see how I took a stand for myself in 2010 and said, I require a coach. I am going to create my own business. I'm going to focus on what my life purpose is and turn it into a lucrative business. And that's exactly what I did. I truly believe in the coaching industry. If you're a coach and you don't have a coach, that's hypocritical. And one of the reasons why I've never gone without a coach. I also believe in the power of it very, very, very strongly. And so who am I other than that? I'm also a mother to 2 amazing boys. You'll see pictures of them coming up. I love to travel. I love to read. I love to sing. I love to paint. There's so many different things I love to do. I love gardening. I love exercising. I love yoga. So there's a lot of different components that I have a freedom for in my life. Because of the business that I've created, I can literally mold my business around all of those passions that I just shared with you, and conscious connection with the ones that I love, including my sons. So I'll share more stories and more excitement. Why I do what I do today is to impact women to be financially empowered so they can live a freedom-based lifestyle, spend quality time with their loved ones, travel, and make a difference in the world. I hear this over and over and over from women. It's like they want to make a difference in the world. They want to have the laptop lifestyle. They want to do this and do that. And we need to start here. And you have to make sure that you have your own financial foundation in place and your own money really well laid out to do all of these other amazing things. And you can build on this foundation as you move about the country, right? So here's my boyfriend, Jack, and I. We were in Iceland not too long ago, I guess maybe 8 or 9 months ago. And this is the black sand beach. So we had an amazing trip in Iceland. I travel around the globe. I love what I do. I love that I can go anywhere at any time for any reason and make a difference in the world. And so my life obviously wasn't always that way, but it was something that I worked towards. So even when I started my business in 2010, I was constantly working towards making a difference for myself in all of these different areas. And during the time that I was in the unstable marriage and had unstable income, no coincidence there, right? That, everything does matter. And like I said, 2 weeks after my ex-husband moved out, Jack showed up and I was like, whoa, I really did my work. And he's an amazing man and treats me like no one has ever before in my entire life, and it makes me very happy to share life with him. So, and then here we are in Mexico a couple of months ago. We were fortunate enough to be able to go there. He surprised me for my birthday, and we met our good friends Megan and Sean there and spent a week in Mexico with them. And the thing that I love, I didn't do any work in Iceland really, but when I was in Mexico, I was running a challenge, and I asked my friend Megan to be on the challenge because she's also in the coaching industry. And I love that I can go anywhere, and I love that I love my business enough to want to do it even when I'm on quote unquote vacation. So for me, it's all kind of together, this work that we do. And sometimes some weeks are lighter than others, and other weeks they're more intensive than others. But it's really such a passion for me to be doing the work that I'm doing and really seeing a dramatic, tangible difference in the lives of the women that I work with, in the lives of the women who are in the School of Feminine Fortune that are taking the Your Own Money course, for example. And these women, they're not going back, right? There's none of this, I made some more money, but now I'm back in feast and famine. You're literally ending feast and famine forever, which is majorly important. Here are my two sons. This was literally like a week ago. We went to our house in Venice, Florida, and my sons and I were on a 2.5-week adventure. It was so fun. We went to Georgia first, in Roswell, Georgia, and stayed in this gorgeous mansion on the water. And then we flew down to our Venice, Florida home and stayed there for an additional 2 weeks. It was the longest that my sons and I have ever been away from home. And we thoroughly enjoyed it. And we hired this woman to do an awesome photo shoot on the beach. And this is one of the photos that she, actually, I took it while she was taking photos, but we just got the new photos back. So you'll see them on Facebook, I'm sure. All right. So what was happening during these multiple cash infusions, right? So it wasn't just like, oh, I got a divorce, my man showed up out of the sunset, and everything was peachy keen and downhill and my business took off. Hell no, that was not how it went down. I was terrified, okay? So just because this welcome divorce happened doesn't mean that this giant fear just disappeared, right? It wasn't like a bubble that just went poof, bye-bye, gone. No, I still had to invest in coaching. I still had to work on my money mindset. I still had to work on my deservability consciousness. And so the first month that all the bills were due, I was like, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my bills? Blah, 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 blah. And so what I am teaching you, as I said at the beginning, is you can learn how to create your own cash infusion over and over and over again. And that's actually what needs to happen. When you see someone making consistent income, it's because they're implementing principles that are the same over and over and over again. But if you don't know what those principles are, then it's really challenging to repeat the process. You might think, oh my gosh, this is awesome. I had my first $10,000 month, but you don't know how to repeat the process. And up until in the first 3 years of my business, from 2010 to 2013, that's basically what was happening. I didn't figure out the formula. One of the biggest ingredients in the formula, again, is that you get in life your musts, not your shoulds. So because I was put in this situation where it was like, I need at least $10,000 a month coming in, I started hitting $10,000 months every single month, even though, and here's the key, even though I was still working through these fears that were coming up. In the first couple of months, I'd be like, I replaced doubt with faith. I replaced doubt with faith. I was getting into the business of the hows, as Mike Dooley calls them, the cursed hows. I was starting to think about Christmas and how I wasn't going to be able to afford Christmas presents, and my youngest son was going to stop believing in Santa Claus. I mean, there were so many things going on. Remember, they say you have 60,000 thoughts a day. It was definitely busy up in my head. There were many days where I would literally walk around and say, I replace doubt with faith. I replace doubt with faith. Or I would even become unavailable to myself. I would be like, Rebecca, enough, not going there. No more. Cut this out. And I would take the thoughts, I would turn them off. I would have to do it over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. So part of what you need to do is to become so unavailable to those thoughts, just like, I know that this is crazy harsh, just like you would not allow your child to be molested or raped, or not allow yourself, you would fight for your life to not be raped, to not be violated. And so it's really important for you to be that unavailable to these negative thoughts that are causing your money set point when you are hitting that money ceiling, and knowing that you are deserving of going beyond and reminding yourself of that. Again, going back to the mirror, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying and declaring it. So if you don't have something for the money to go towards, then and you're not declaring it, then it's like, oh, well, maybe I'll hit my money goal this month, maybe not. Or it'd be nice to reach $10,000. Like, no, did you hear the conviction? When I stopped in the streets of Paris, I said, here's the deal, God, blah, 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 blah. Like, you have to have that much conviction. All right. So 7 secrets to create an instant cash infusion. First of all, like I said, you need to know what you want and why you want it. And this is where you can write this down. Write it down on a big piece of paper, write it down on make it your phone screenshot. I mean, there's so many cool creative ways of how you can write down what it is that you want and why you want it. So what happens here when you're writing it down, it's not just this, I'm typing it in somewhere. There's a brain chemical that is released when you're writing something down, and the kinesthetic movement of your hand as it correlates to sending a message to the brain, it's literally anchoring it in. And so for me personally, I love pens and pencils. I have really cool pencils all over my office. My personal assistant sharpens them for me, so I feel expanded and supported, and I open up to receiving more. So there's a lot of little ways that you can show up and receive even more. Like, you might be watching this and think to yourself, like, who knew you could get someone else to sharpen your pencils for you? Sometimes my sons do it. So know what you want and why you want it. And I want you to share with me, what are your whys? So earlier you shared with me what your, what amount of money you were thinking of getting, and, why that was important. And then I also asked you to share with me what was the most that you have ever made, because some people are, like, I'm going to do $10,000. And now for me, when I said I need $10,000, there was very, very specific reasons behind that. I knew that that was the exact amount of money that I needed in order to continue running my business and also running my home. So I knew that I needed a personal assistant to come in more than she was coming in before. So you have to make it a non-negotiable. What is that non-negotiable for you? And what is the why? I was not moving my kids out of the house that they grew up in because I wanted them to have stability. They were going through enough of a transition, and I wanted to create stability, and I wanted them to have peace and be able to move through this transitionary period as quickly and easily as they could. So let me hear from you. The whys, I would love to hear. Okay, so we have, I want to show myself I can do it, and I want my husband and children to be proud of me for my own achievements. Awesome. I want to own more than 60,000 euro at a month without working 24 hours every day. Yeah, 100%. Working and having the time freedom is massive, 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 massive. It's a big game changer. Okay. So thank you for sharing whys. You guys can keep sharing whys. I would certainly love to hear them. You can keep popping them into the chat there. Secret number 2, transform your money beliefs so they help you build your bank balance instead of working against you. Now, here's the key. How do you transform your money belief if you don't know what your money belief is? So we're only aware of about 5% to have a better life quality, to live with less worry. Awesome, awesome. Great shares. People keep sharing, keep sharing. Definitely want to hear more. So here's the key. You need to know what your money beliefs are in order to make sure that they're not working against you. And this is where it's really critical to work with somebody who can catch your blind spots. For me, I have had amazing coaches over the years, and there have definitely been plenty of times where I think I know what's holding me back, or the self-sabotage, or it looks like it might be this, or I need to think bigger, or believe bigger, or eliminate the bad self-talk, all kinds of different things that you would have someone who is a paid mentor in your life, and even surrounding yourself with people who you have a relationship with, where they're going to say to you, and I've had plenty of mastermind partners say this over the year, like, Rebecca, are you, retelling this story because it's serving your need to be the victim, or is it really helping you heal? And there was one instance where I was telling the story, not because I needed to tell it again. I needed to lay that story to rest. And so we tend to have a lot of story that is a representation of our beliefs. So here's the key. When you're on the phone with your girlfriends, you want to record yourself, or it's better if you can record yourself. No one ever has to hear it. You can delete it when you're done, but you will hear unfiltered everything that's going on when you're like, oh my God, and and the air conditioning unit went up, or my car went up, or whatever. You will hear everything. And traditionally, until you build up to this level of personal mastery, you're not hearing everything that is going on upstairs. Now, I promised to tell you the rest of my car story, and this is the perfect time to do so. This day that my SUV went up, and I was getting ready to leave for a trip for 14 days to LA, and I didn't want to be rushed into buying a car. It might sound like really your big problem, Rebecca, was that you had to find a new car before you went to LA. But I was still in desperate scarcity mode. I was afraid that I wasn't going to get approved for a loan. Like, all of this being independent stuff was coming up for me that was really freaking me out. And I was just having a tizzy fit. Like, I was spinning out big time. I was like, oh my God, and my son's birthday, and And I was highly, highly aware of all of the thoughts and beliefs that were going on in my head. And I had a very golden opportunity to notice everything, and to write down everything, and to get coaching on everything, so that I could transform my money beliefs. And I will tell you that that March in 2014 was huge breakthrough for me, because in a very condensed period, I was able to witness a lot of really old, crappy, false beliefs that were coming up, being triggered by the SUV transmission going up and needing to buy a new car, that I was able to heal because I wrote them down and then took them into my coaching session with my coach at the time. And P.S., this is why it's important to record yourself, but I literally didn't have to do that. I was able to write a whole bunch of stuff down because I was highly aware of it. And I got so sick of myself, where I literally said out loud in my kitchen to myself, Rebecca, you've got about 30 more minutes of complaining about this, and then that's it. So drawing a boundary with yourself around the money bullshit lies that you tell yourself can have a huge dramatic difference. So writing out these beliefs, and then we can go through them together and eliminate them, because sometimes it's not enough. In fact, most of the time it's not enough for you to just know what the belief is. You need to know how to heal it. So for me, and one of the biggest beliefs for women over and over again, that's a repetitive belief, is there's not enough money. There's not enough money. And so there's sort of this like leaky bucket entrepreneur syndrome that's going on. And yes, that is a term that I have coined in a video series that I've done. And you really want to get to the point where you're the masterful entrepreneur. The leaky bucket entrepreneur, I know people I've worked with who are at 6 and 7 figures, and they're still the leaky bucket entrepreneur, where it doesn't matter how much is coming in, there's still almost that much going out. And you want to get to this place of sustainability, where your business has the ability to sustain you regardless of what's going on, regardless of whether a client's coming in, or regardless of whether, whatever. You want to have money in the bank, because again, when a woman has her own money in the bank, you make very different decisions. Okay. So number 3, you're going to identify your unique money set point and why it holds you back from making more. So we get into these comfort zones, right? So first it might be like, oh, I'm comfortable making $2,000 a month, or, oh, I'm comfortable making $4,000 a month. This also stems from this chronic feminine wound of not wanting to take up too much space, or that if you are having more money, that you're taking it from someone else. That leads us back to secret 2. That's a false money belief. So the why it holds you back from making more are those money beliefs. And here's another way where you can find them. And so where are you comfortable making enough money? Are you comfortable having luxurious things? Or do you hold yourself back from doing things because you're afraid people are going to judge you or make assessments about you or think that you're rich and snotty? This is where you can dive in really deep and get to the root of things to know what is underlying these things. Because here's the deal. If you have a thought like, man, these people might think I'm rich and snotty if I make $20,000 in a month, and at the end of the year, I decide to buy a Maserati. If you have a belief that someone is going to judge you or think you're snotty or think you're greedy or anything else for that matter, you will absolutely block yourself from having more money. You will absolutely block yourself from getting to that next level. So the way that you identify how much money you're comfortable making, what's your comfort zone? And for different people and throughout different periods of time, it might be different. Like for me, when I was married and my husband at the time was making a certain amount of money, I knew that I could get by in my business. It would be tight, really, 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 really tight, but it wasn't like when I was single where it was like, hello, it's going to be 10 grand at a minimum here. And that's where women tend to hold themselves, is whatever's going to cover the bills. And that's why most people are hanging out in this leaky bucket zone where you really have to overcome those. And if you're not incredibly comprehensive and thorough with all of the different components and pieces, where it's not just your external money habits, but it's that internal self-talk and the way that you treat yourself and what you believe about yourself that come together to determine what you will allow your new money set point to be. So you need to determine where you are now in order to know where your new money set point can be put. And then sometimes people on the other end of the spectrum, they're like, and this is why I asked you how much you had made, what's the most you've made in a month before, because sometimes people are like, oh, the most I've ever made in a month is $5,000. And they're like, well, I want to start having $20,000 months. Your brain cannot connect the dots. So you have to give it stair steps. So maybe it's like, okay, next month my goal is 12,000. Next month my goal is 15. Next month my goal is 17. And that's actually what happened to me in that very first year of me being financially independent, where I broke into 6 figures and I tripled my income. It wasn't because I was like, oh, here, I did have my first $10,000 month. And then when the next month rolled around, I wasn't like, now I'm going to do $40,000. Like my brain couldn't get there. So I had to give it stair steps in order to get there. Listen, I'm not saying, and I know plenty of people, and I've had this happen myself, who have gone and done a live event and they've brought in $250,000 or what have you. But the deal is that they're bringing in no $1,000 those other 11 months. And that's not what we're talking about you creating here. What works, what I'm teaching you, is you have to create continuous cash infusions month after month or day after day, however it's going to work for you. But when you set your energy and intention on, today, I'm going to create a cash infusion. Great. How much are you going to create today? How are you going to accomplish that? If you set this everyday cash infusion goal, I promise you more abundance will be showing up in your life, whether that's a penny on the floor or a brand new $10,000 paying in full client. All right. So speaking of these amazing clients, one of my clients and now friend, Laura Wright, I worked with Laura and she had this crazy bunch of stuff happen in this 1 month. Remember what we talked about before, where you're in the right place if you've got unexpected things happening and you're like freaking out. So she started to spin out a tiny, tiny, tiny little bit, and we were able to turn things around really quickly. Also, because Laura has done a tremendous amount of personal development growth and worked with coaches, with other coaches in the industry, and also with the coaching that she received from me. So she had the $10,000 to send out because she and I had already started on setting up a savings plan. So it was like, oh my gosh, here we go. Then she was able to move through fear and keep her faith around money showing up, meaning, is more money going to show up to fill my banking account back up? And she is saying that it wouldn't have been possible without my consistent support. Like I said, when you're in my world, I've got your back. She also made an empowered decision to hire someone to support her with a project, allowing her to spend quality time with family versus what I would have done in the past, working harder, doing things on my own, which would have cost more in the long run and cost her family wise. I mean, for me personally, you can't get that time back. Me spending 2 weeks, this 2.5 weeks this summer with my sons on a luxurious vacation, like can't get that time back. Laura says, I know the effects of our work together will continue on long past these 30 days. If you have an opportunity to work with Rebecca, jump on it. She is real and really amazing. So number 4, you're going to identify your hidden money leaks. This is a big one. Most people don't talk about this, and they also don't think about this. So right now, I want you to take a quick inventory, and you can go back and be more thorough about this after our training. You'll also have 48 hours access to this replay as well. So after the webinar, or whenever, maybe in the next 24 hours or 12 hours, whatever works for you, you're going to want to go into your banking balance or your bank accounts, and you need to know what are all of the automated business expenses that are required for me to run my business. So for example, we're doing this platform on Zoom. Zoom is $50 a month. Then we've got Entreport. Entreport is $297 a month. Then I've got Instant Teleseminar, that's $67 a month. I pay my VA a certain amount every month. I pay for Facebook ads every month. I pay for my marketing team every month. So there's a certain amount of overhead. And then you want to know what your personal expenses are. What are those memberships? Are you belonging to a gym that you don't even go to anymore? Did you buy a yoga pass and never even use it and you need to cancel it? So what are some of the memberships that you might have, or any other hidden money leaks for that matter? And I really encourage you not to get to a place of being desperate for money to identify this. A smart businesswoman is going to know what her business overhead costs are. And look, even smart businesswomen can oversee something. In fact, recently I had received an email from Acuity Scheduling, and I forwarded it over to my VA. And I said, Trisha, what is this? I said, I'm paying $10 a month for Acuity Scheduling. And you might think, Rebecca, you really need to pay attention to making $10 a month for real. Like you've gotten to this level of financial success and you're paying attention to $10 a month. Yes, I am. I'm a wise businesswoman. And the reason I am where I am today is because I am paying attention to this. And I also take a stand for my team paying attention to this, because in the past, I have had other team. I had one woman sign me up for some text notification thing, and it was like charging me $80 a month for like 7 months before I even knew what it was. And they were like, no, we're not refunding you $256. So anyways, what I uncovered was I had another Acuity account that a different VA had signed me up for. I paid for it in full, and Acuity was amazing. They were willing to refund my money that I invested. And I got back like, I don't know, $150 or $200. And because I already had this other account, they were able to see I had this other account. So these are where you can find hidden money leaks that you may never would have thought possible. And sometimes people aren't looking for these things until they're desperate for money. But I want to teach you that you can live this way. You can live efficiently and effectively this way where you don't have any hidden money leaks. I had this one woman that I was working with at one point, and she freed up over $500 in membership fees every month. And also she was able to quit her corporate job and let's talk about a hidden money leak, had found forgotten about 401k. And I know someone else that happened to. They were like trying to go on this trip and they really didn't have any money and they had this poverty mentality, and she had forgotten that she had this 401k to access from a previous job. She wasn't like, it didn't really matter. And it was exactly what she needed at that time to do what she needed to do. Same thing with my client who was leaving her corporate job, which was in fact a bit abusive. Her boss was verbally abusive to her. So it was massive that she was able to uncover $500 in membership fees and all of this other stuff. It was awesome. All right. So be honest. What is one of your money leaks? Do you have any money leaks? What did you uncover when you did this quick mental inventory? Again, you can go back later and be more thorough, but share in the chat box or the Q&A box there if you were able to think of one right off the top of your head. Like, and there might be some that you're questioning too. Like, you know, for example, I pay $25 a month for my gym membership, but I don't really go that often anymore because the one yoga teacher I love left. And I've been contemplating lately, like, do I keep it? Do I not keep it? I'm kind of locked in at a low rate. I don't really love the new yoga teacher. So there might be some that you're on the fence about too, but go ahead and post in the chat box there and share anything that you want to share about what came up for you during the inventory of the money leaks. All right, now, secret number 5, discover where you are sabotaging your money growth. Car insurance and phone bill. That's awesome. Simple, simple. Okay. And so like money leaks can also be money coming in. Like, does anyone owe you any money? Do you have a 401k that you may have forgot about? I think there's even a website in the US called missingmoney.com. You can go and type your name in with your social security number and see if that somehow the government has any money. Maybe a mortgage company owed you money, an insurance claim, like a class action lawsuit. You know, the list goes on. So there's lots of different places that you can find even more money that you may not have thought about. So just get more creative. So where are you sabotaging your money growth? One of the biggest areas that I have seen women entrepreneurs especially sabotaging their business growth is thinking that they are going to do it on their own. And then when they make the money, then they'll invest in the fill in the blank, whether that's a coach, whether it's business equipment, whether it's, or I don't like to use credit cards. Here's the deal. For people who are entrepreneurs, it's not like I can go into my bank and say, hey, I'm creating this online personal and professional development school for women called the School of Feminine Fortune. And I'd like to borrow $100,000 in order to pay for Facebook ads, in order to hire a marketing team, and in order to create more awareness about this school and advertise it to people. Doesn't work that way. They're going to look at me like I've got 3 heads. Now, on the flip side, if I were like my friend Evangeline, who owns a beautiful salon in the area, a spa salon, when she opened her brick and mortar, she had to pay a leasing company. She had to buy equipment. She had to buy inventory. She had to hire a decorator. There were all kinds of things that she had to do. And so for some really weird reason, when we work from home, sometimes people have this thought that they could get by with just they're living the laptop lifestyle. They could get by with just the laptop, figure it out on their own. And then once the money comes in, then they'll do X, Y, and Z. I am here to tell you it doesn't work that way. I have done it that way and it is disastrous. It's miserable. It's like, I'm going to try and figure this out on my own. And I had a coach at the time, but she wasn't exactly teaching us like how to do this website stuff. And instead of hiring a website person, I was like, oh, I'll just teach myself HTML code and Oh, was it a disaster? Instead of hiring a VA, I'm like, I'll wear all the hats. I'll figure all of this out. It takes 10 times longer to grow your business, and it takes probably $10,000 plus more for you to grow your business if you're going to be cheap with yourself and think that if, then, when. That's not how the universal law works. We've been taught in society to like save for a rainy day, all of these sorts of things, and we buy into it. The truth of the matter is that you have to do a financial demonstration or an energetic demonstration, some kind of a demonstration that you have skin in the game, that you're willing to do anything, no matter what, to make your business grow. All right, so we've got the chat box coming in. So, all right, what about it if it really is the case that the money I sent there? What if you're in a situation where there is no money coming in and many bills and living costs? So, Lone, we can definitely talk further about online sales, etc. If you want me to. How can you get a mentor if you can just get by with food, no savings, no credit card? So here's the thing, like this kind of talk has to stop. You know, you're looking at what's impossible instead of looking at what is possible and staying open to a miracle. And that's what I did when I went through what I went through. I wasn't like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I was like, here's what has to happen. And I am not backing down. There was a fierceness there. So you need to have a fierceness around not how can I get a mentor, but I must have a mentor. When I said to God, I didn't say, God, how can I stay in my house? I said, I'm not moving out of my house. Do you see the difference? So if that's the case, then you have to make it a non-negotiable. I just interviewed a girl earlier today who was sexually abused by not only her father, but other men and tied up from the ages of 12 to 19. And she left that situation with nothing but a shirt on her back. She went on to get an MBA. She's a leadership, very, very successful woman who teaches leadership and overcoming. And honestly, after the story that I heard her share on this Leadership Success Series today, there's nothing that cannot be accomplished. But it comes with you taking a stand for this is a requirement, not how can I do this, but saying I'm doing this, and then taking every possible step that you can take to make that happen no matter what. Again, you're going to get in life your musts, not your shoulds. So secret number 6, or actually before we have one of my awesome clients who I thought I saw, Chanel, you were on the line as well too, working with Chanel. And I got to move my my little video here so we can see your beautiful picture. So Chanel said before starting to work with me, she hit an upper limit of how much she was bringing in. She couldn't bust past the 8K per month mark. I'm technical and I know how to get clients, create funnels, and do Facebook ads, but something was holding me back. Rebecca helped me work on my money mindset, specifically on how to be available to attract South African clients who are happy to pay my rates, which are in US dollars. My limiting beliefs told me they wouldn't, which was completely false. And that's basically what's happening in some of this chat box here is like the limiting beliefs are going berserk right now. Like we're seeing all of some of people's limiting beliefs, and you have to take a stand for no more. I'm now booking South African and overseas clients, which means I can work in person with people again, which I love doing as I live in South Africa as a result of my work with Rebecca. I had my first 10K month and then went on to have my biggest month in business hitting 17K. I was over the moon when this happened. She says she does her mindset practice daily. The workbooks are a fantastic way to keep her accountable. And if you do the mindset work and take action required, the money does come in. Amen to that. I recommend working with Rebecca because she's got a gift for helping you bust through mindset issues. I've been able to deepen this work for myself and my clients through what I've learned from Rebecca. So thank you, Chanel, for not only sharing that loveliness, but being here right here. All right. So we have number 6, secret number 6. Let me move myself back over here. That way I'm out of your way so you can see what's going on. Mentorship and community is key. I have been surrounded by some of the most amazing people over the years that literally have become like family to me. And that has made a huge, huge difference. And so really paying attention to who you choose to surround yourself with, paying attention to your environment. What are you allowing into your environment? Where are you living? How is it affecting your energy? How are you holding your energy? It's an inside outside kind of job. And really choosing to continue to invest in yourself and making that a requirement, a non-negotiable. Again, in all of the financial hardships and difficulties that I've had through my entire business growth and career, I have made it a non-negotiable to invest in myself and in my business no matter what. And that is one of the biggest contributing factors to what led me to where my business is now. I started my business from nothing. I literally put my first coaching program on 3 different credit cards, and that's all I had. And the rest of it, like I said, I was wearing my own hats. But every time money would come in and I would make it a non-negotiable to reinvest in my business over and over and over again, it became habit. It became continuous. So really paying attention to what it is that you're investing in. So another one of my clients, Min Lang, she says, because of my coaching, I hit my first 20K month. I had new clients come to me because I was in the flow of energy that allowed me to receive. I felt clear about what I needed to do each day. Discovery calls and new clients flowed to me. This process got me to do things that I've been meaning to do, like exercise and read. When I say this is an inside out job, this is what I mean. Like, people think, oh, reading has nothing to do with abundance, or exercise has nothing to do with abundance. Everything has everything to do with abundance. How you treat yourself, how you live your day, how you talk to yourself, who you expose yourself to, the boundaries that you draw around yourself, all of these things. They all matter and make a difference. So number 7, being in your power directly relates to you making money, and you making money directly relates to you being in your power. There's a cause and effect. So universal law is such that there is a cause and effect, as you well know. And basically, you will be more in your power when more money is coming in. That has been my experience. But you also need to know how to be in your power when money is not coming in. And this is typically where women are triggered to go into spinning, which doesn't allow them to get to the next level of financial abundance. They're too busy seeing what's not possible, what hasn't happened in the past, what they're not willing to do in order to see past this blindness. In order to get a different result, you have to be willing to do something different. Einstein says the definition of insanity, I'm sure you all have heard this, I'll repeat it again, is doing the same thing and expecting different results. So if you're believing the same thoughts, or you are participating in the same money habits, you're not going to get different results. All successful entrepreneurs that I know and work with are doing things differently and challenging themselves. I have a really good friend who's been in entrepreneurship for a really long time, and she just recently went and got this special yoga certification. It's also something that I'm considering doing. So it's like, do something a little bit that you're afraid of, and do something a little bit that evokes more power for you. So when we do things differently, we have the power to change what the outcomes are. And just like running a race, I can't speak to running a marathon. The longest race I've ever run is a 10K, which is also pretty awesome. But I remember after I had my second son and I ran my very first 5K marathon, or not marathon, but 5K race. And at the end of the race, I was like, oh my God, like I was totally like on cloud 9, because I did something that I never did before, which increased my belief in myself, which increased my empowerment. And so when you take a risk and you do something that you've never done before, you're going to get more into your power, especially when it's pertaining to money, especially when you're learning about how you can be even better in your relationship with your money. We spend so much time and so much energy and sometimes so much money in therapy and in maybe even marriage counseling perhaps, or look how much is spent on a wedding, like $50,000 or $60,000 that's spent on a wedding, and we don't take the time to invest in healing our relationship with our money. So that's a really huge perspective shift there, that when you choose to diligently invest in your relationship with your money, how you think about money and how you think money is there for you or money is not there for you, that is going to directly determine what your future is going to look like, whether that's tomorrow or next week or next month. Miracles can happen in an instant. Financial miracles can happen in an instant. And so this is your moment of making those right choices that are going to cause that financially abundant effect. So you need to understand that everything is related and connected. So the key to an instant cash infusion is creating happiness and fulfillment regardless of your bank balance. And this is one of the most freeing things that can ever happen for you, is when you look at your bank balance, whether it's got $5 in it or $5 million in it, and you decide and you make this declaration, if you will, that what that number is will never again influence your level of happiness. To me, that's what true freedom and true richness is. So I'd love to hear with you so far what your biggest takeaway today was. You can post it in the chat box, and I would love to hear about that. But what I want to know is, are you ready to create true financial freedom? And I know that it's a big fat yes, because I've never ever heard a woman who hasn't said, I want more money. Yeah, Rebecca, I don't know. I don't want financial freedom. I don't want that. Nope, sorry. So I'm strongly urging you to take a stand for being the woman who chooses to never settle for less. One of my famous quotes. So here's everything you need to do to be a successful business owner. Again, what I said earlier about you can't be a lemonade business stand and expect success. And this is the reason why. So many people are like, I can't be successful because I don't have the money, or I can't be successful because I have to wait until I'm done doing this, or I have to bring this amount of money in. You could think of every single excuse in the book, but what I know to be true, again, is that universal law. It's not, you know what, God, guess what? When you show up with the resources, then I'll take this leap of faith. That is not how faith grows. Faith grows by taking a risk, by doing stuff afraid. When I first invested in myself back in 2010, and I put this woman's program on 3 different credit cards for $7,000, I was like totally freaked out. And I had a coach at the time, and she said to me, Rebecca, this is one of those moments where you jump off the bridge and you have faith and trust that the net will appear. And that is how universal law is. Again, like I said earlier, we're taught by society that if you save up for a rainy day, then you'll have X, Y, and Z. But that's really not how it works. And in all of the years that I've been doing this work, I have found and know to be true that when I take the risk and I stay in faith, no matter what the false beliefs are that show up, that it is going to happen no matter what, that's when my income expands. That's when my faith expands. That's when my vision expands. And that's been when my business has expanded as well. Okay, so I am inviting you to join Your Own Money, the Financially Empowered Woman. What is included? This is a 12-week course where you get a weekly interactive workbook. You get weekly live group coaching calls with me for 1 hour. You also get a private Facebook community. You're going to get a 10-minute video training and a 2-minute guided audio meditation. In week 1, you're going to learn how to connect intimately with your money. In week 2, you are going to get even more intimate with your money because you need to know how to do it from the inside out. So there's what's going on in here, and then the practical, like, are my money structures set up? Do I have the ability to bring in more money? Do I have the ability to process payments? I'm a business woman, so you have to have the ability to process payments. The financially empowered woman, you're going to learn more about how to become her in your true womanhood and your true power. In week 4, you're going to gain clarity on your desires. Only 10% of the population know what their desires are. As women, we have been taught to suffocate our desires. Now is your chance to speak up about your desires and have them come into fruition. Week 5, we're going to look at your money goals so you actually accomplish them. You saw and heard from other women that I worked with. Those were their money goals. They met and exceeded them. In week 6, we're going to dive into the real truth about manifesting money. Most people don't talk about the feminine way of manifesting money, but in this course, because it is the financially empowered woman, you're going to get unique techniques and approaches of how you uniquely manifest money as a woman. We're also going to map out your feminine fortune. If you want to have a long-term empire in your business and continue breaking through all of those money set points, you need to know how to map out your feminine fortune. Now, remember, I'm going to be with you every single week. We're going to spend time on the phone for 1 hour, and you're going to get a tremendous amount of one-on-one time with me. In week 8, you're going to learn how to invest in yourself. That's not just investing in your business, but also investing in yourself in many different ways. We invest time and money and energy. Those are the only 3 things that we can ever invest. In week 9, you're going to be in your feminine power and make more money. In week 10, we're going to talk about healthy money boundaries with yourself and others. Earlier, I said one of your hidden money leaks could potentially be that someone owes you money. So you want to make sure that you continue to develop healthy money boundaries. And as you grow as a business owner and you are growing from a solopreneur into maybe someone with a team and then into a company and perhaps even into an empire, this is massively critical. In week 11, we're going to talk about your guide to continuous momentum. And this is where, again, we were talking about that leaky bucket syndrome that some entrepreneurs have. I don't want that to happen for you. In 2013, when this happened and I broke into 6 figures, I've been at multiple high 6 figures for several years now, and I have never turned back. So I never went back to that woman that I was when I was in a marriage where I had financial ups and downs and so on. So you need to know how to have that continuous forward momentum that's building upon one another. Again, you're going to get 12 full weeks of content plus coaching with me. Today, for the first 5 people only, I'm super excited to offer this bonus valued at $1,500. You will receive a 60-minute bonus call to find out what your unique money archetype is. When you know what your unique money archetype is, you can manifest so much faster. So not only having those feminine principles of how to manifest money faster, but when you know what your unique money hiccups might be or your patterns of where you're showing up, you can blaze through them so much more quickly. You're like, oh, wait a minute, that's the shadow side of my money archetype. I'm not going to go there. I remember what Rebecca said. So you're going to get a 60-minute bonus call with me. I normally charge $1,500 for these. So that is a tremendous bonus. So you'll want to make sure, because I know the 5 of these will go like hotcakes. So you'll want to make sure you get that. Today only, actually for the next 48 hours, we're changing the price soon here. So the early bird offer is going to end in 48 hours. And normally we sell this opportunity for $19.97, which, by the way, is still massively inexpensive. I charge $10,000 for my 90-day private coaching, and those spots are currently full. So this is your opportunity to get some incredible FaceTime with me, 12 1-hour calls. That's the same amount of calls that my private coaching clients are going to get, but you'll also have that community aspect as well. and you can get in today for as little as $397. We have a 3-pay payment plan. I know where I came in business, and I want to meet you where you are in business. And this course will absolutely and dramatically change your money life and your money relationship forever, especially if you're one of the first 5 people to get in on the money archetype reading. So again, we're going to get the manifestation checklist over to you in your inbox, because I know that you stayed until the end, and I want to really be generous with you in that regard. And if you have any final questions before we wrap up, you can post them in the box there. And then I also want to, hold on one second here. I want to go back and share this final slide with you. I think I hit something. All right, here we go. So just as a reminder, this is your chance to get in today. Hopefully you guys can see this final slide here, where it's a recap. You'll see that you know, these many different people that I have worked with have had phenomenal results. I know that you doing this methodical work is going to lead to you doing the same. This is scientific. So there are not that many quotients, especially when you jump in on the 1-hour money archetype reading. It makes it 10 times easier to really dial in and hone in on what your unique style of manifesting money is. So you'll go over to femininefortuneschool.com, your own money, in order to jump in on this. Again, you can get in today if you want to do the payment plan for just $397. You'll go straight over to femininefortuneschool.com, your own money. And if somebody can just comment that you do indeed see my screen here, I want to make sure. And I'll also type this into the chat for you. So it's femininefortuneschool.com / your own money. And I want to make sure you have the link, because I know these bonus seats are going to go like hotcakes. They always do when we open up the doors. All right, so here is the link. It'll take you directly over to the link where you can go ahead and sign up. Okay, so Amy is saying, my biggest takeaway was that I needed to let my brain connect the dots between where I am at now, what's my best month so far versus where I want to be. Awesome. What I want to earn each month. I've tried to grow it to 20K. My biggest month this year has been 2.5. Smaller steps, my goal to have my first 3K. So yeah, you want your money goal to be, and we'll be talking more in depth about this in the Your Own Money course. We go into tremendous detail. Like I said, every workbook is set up with 25 pages of interactive. There's homework assignments. I'm going to be totally there to hold you accountable. You have an opportunity to get weekly live coaching with me. Some of the participants in the past have spent 30 minutes on a call with me. So it's a rather intimate group, and you get a tremendous amount of access to me, not just in the Facebook group, but also on the live weekly coaching calls, where you can ask any question about anything. So we've got you totally covered there. But you want your money goal to be a little bit of a stretch, but you also kind of want it a little bit just out of reach. So for you, Amy, I might even suggest that you make it a little bit higher. So it's kind of like what's believable, but a little bit not believable too, that feels like it's a stretch. So I'm so glad that you've received that tremendous amount of value there. And so ladies, I really encourage you. I don't do these programs for this really low, inexpensive price very often at all. As I said, this course price point is going up to $19.97 in 48 hours. It will not come back down. This is your last chance to get in at $9.97 and truly, genuinely heal your money stuff forever. I can assure you that you will go through the 12 weeks of live coaching with me, and you'll go through all of the materials, the meditations, the video trainings, the workbooks. You're going to be in this amazing Facebook community, and you're going to stretch so much financially into that next level of success. Wherever you are to get to that next level of financial abundance and success, you're not going to go back. It's virtually impossible to go back. And that's what the fear can sometimes be. I know it has been for me in the past, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm surrounded by all these amazing people. We're like jet setting. We're doing this, we're doing that. Like, what if I go back to the Rebecca that I was years ago? As I said, I have a 4.5-year track record with making this really big stretch and staying there and continuing to grow and build momentum. If anyone has any questions, you also, yeah, there you are on the sales page, Chanel. You certainly are. So if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to set up a call. You can text me directly at 443-985-0583, and I will get that right here on my phone. You can also email me at rebecca@rebeccamatias.com. You have 48 hours to take advantage of this. Again, there's only 5 of the bonus money archetype readings. And then you will have also access to a 48-hour replay that we'll be getting out to you as well. So I would really love to support you in this way and catapult you into your next level of financial success and abundance, and be in community with you and the amazing women that we have in the School of Feminine Fortune. So please head on over to femininefortuneschool.com/your-own-money. You'll see the 2 payment options there. You can get in for $997, pay in full, or if you want to do the payment plan, it's just $397. And it has been an absolute amazing honor and pleasure to be here with you today. As always, for those of you who may have attended my webinar entitled The Same last week, I'm sure you can see there's totally different content. I may be doing another one of these coming up soon. So I wish you all a fabulous rest of the day, morning or afternoon, wherever you're tuning in from. And for those of you watching the replay, if you're watching this and you want to reach out and have a question, please use that phone number to text me, 443-985-0583. Or you can email rebecca@rebeccamatias.com. And if you're like me, I'm like, holy crap, that's an amazing price. I'm in and I'm getting the bonus, because I like to take advantage of amazing bonuses as well. So awesome, ladies. Have a great rest of your afternoon, evening, or morning. Lots of love.